Everyone in the mansion feared crossing Alexander Reed, the cold, unreadable billionaire who trusted no one. But no one feared him more than 17-year-old Lila, the maid's daughter who cleaned his study every evening. She thought he never noticed her. She thought she was invisible. But one night, when he pretended to be asleep on the couch to test her intentions, he witnessed something he never expected. Something that shattered the walls he'd built around his heart. What she did next changed his life forever. Alexander Reed was a man shaped by betrayal. Years of being used for his wealth had left him suspicious of everyone who stepped into his life. So when his housekeeper, Rosa, asked if her daughter Lila could help with evening chores during her school break, Alexander agreed, but with his usual cold distance. Lila was nothing like the people he was used to. Quiet, soft-spoken, and painfully shy. She moved through the mansion like a whisper. She avoided looking at him directly, always keeping a respectful distance. Alexander noticed, but pretended not to point. One evening, after a long meeting, Alexander sat on the couch in his study, exhausted. He was rubbing his temples when Rosa called out from the hallway. "Lila, go clean the study before Mr. Reed wakes up. He won't even notice." Alexander heard it, and something inside him stirred. A curiosity he didn't understand. He leaned back, closed his eyes, and pretended to be asleep. Lila entered quietly. She froze when she saw him lying there. Her hands trembled around the cleaning cloth. "I'll be quick," she whispered to herself. "Don't mess this up." He watched her through the smallest slit of his eyelid. She cleaned every corner gently, carefully, as if she feared waking a sleeping lion. When she reached his desk, she noticed the stack of documents scattered everywhere. She sighed softly. "He works too much." Alexander felt something unfamiliar, warmth, maybe. But then everything changed as she dusted the table near him. Lila noticed a blanket half fallen from the armrest. She paused, staring at his tired face. Her expression softened with a tenderness Alexander had never seen directed at him. Quietly, she lifted the blanket, and very slowly, she placed it over him. But she didn't leave. Lila hesitated, then reached into her small backpack. She took out a little homemade bracelet woven with cheap thread and uneven colors. She looked at it, smiled sadly, and whispered, "Mom says everyone deserves one person who wishes them well, even people who seem impossible to reach." Then, with trembling fingers, she set the bracelet gently on the couch beside him. She looked at his face once more. "I hope you find someone who cares for you," she whispered. She had no idea he was awake the whole time. Alexander felt something inside him break wide open. This girl, this maid's daughter, did more for him in one silent moment than anyone else had in years. The next morning, Lila entered the mansion nervously. She prayed he hadn't noticed anything. She feared losing her mother's job, feared humiliating herself, feared being misunderstood. But when she stepped into the study, Alexander was waiting. He held the little bracelet in his palm. Lila froze. He stood, towering over her, but his voice was softer than she had ever heard. "Is this yours?" Her face turned red. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I can take it back, sir. Please don't fire my mom. You looked cold. And he raised a hand gently. "Your mother's job is safe. Sit." No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not with authority, but with care. She sat slowly. Alexander took a deep breath. "Yesterday you didn't take anything. You didn't snoop. You didn't judge me. Instead," his voice quivered, surprising even him, "you showed kindness." Lila looked at her hands, confused. "You deserve kindness too." No sentence had ever hit him harder. For a moment, he couldn't speak. He walked to the window, speaking quietly. "People like me, we're not used to gestures like yours. We're used to being used." She shook her head. "Not by everyone." Her sincerity disarmed him completely. Then something unexpected happened. Alexander asked, "Why did you leave this bracelet?" "Why me?" Lila hesitated. "Because you always look lonely, and I know what loneliness feels like. I just wanted you to have something that says, someone wishes you well, even if you don't believe it." Alexander closed his eyes. It had been years since anyone had wished him well without wanting something in return. He sat across from her. Lila, may I keep it? Her eyes widened in surprise. Yes, if you really want to. He put the bracelet on his wrist. This billionaire wearing a crooked, childish bracelet made of colored string. Thank you, he said, voice thick. You reminded me I'm still human. From that day on, everything changed in the mansion. Alexander became softer, warmer. He began talking to Rosa and Lila, asking about their days, their dreams, their worries. He offered to pay for Lila's education, but she refused, saying she wanted to earn her own future. He admired that. Slowly, a bond formed between them, not romantic, not transactional, just human. Beautiful. Healing. Years later, when Lila became a successful designer, she gifted Alexander a refined version of that first bracelet. He wore it proudly, telling everyone, "A girl with a kind heart saved me once." The inspiring message remained. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness reaches the deepest wounds, and the person you least expect might be the one who teaches you how to live again.